So I'm here with ShetlandApache. Hello, Shetland.
Hi guys.
Okay, so you moved your queen. I'm gonna do a move because, as you say, yeah, I hope I can I survive until I cast. Okay, Spartan, that's the goal. Actually, okay, let's just do that. That's a bad move. It's the first time I'm streaming me playing chess, and it's stressing the hell out of me. Okay, so Gabe, let's start again. So you, besides ShetlandApache, your name is Gabe? Or Gabriel? Do you prefer Gabriel or Gabe, by the way?
Gabe. I just don't ever introduce myself as Gabe because I drop the B on the end a lot. So people are like, okay, I get that's your sexual orientation, but what's your name? And so that's why I always.
Are you part? I mean, we are a very gay stream here. Are you gay? Are you
Not
straight? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to cut short that interview and like kick you out of here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a less fun persuasion.
It's okay. We'll let it slide this time, but for next time interview you better start
I'll work on it.
banging some dudes. Okay. Okay. So let's start again. Where are you living? And what's your life? Like, okay, run down from your life in like a few sentences.
Alright, so I guess the reason why I like Warhammer so much and why it appeals to me is because I grew up as an only child in the middle of nowhere, about 2 hours outside of New York, and so my entire childhood was me playing fantasy games in the woods with wooden swords.
That's adorable, though.
It was great. But then, because of that, I got really into reading and books, and I didn't actually have a computer until I was about 11, when we finally got one, and I found Morrowind, which opened my eyes to the number of possibilities you could have in a game. After that, it really was all downhill from there once I found Total War. Just an absolutely wonderful way to simulate strategy.
Yeah, and so you were. I think that was when I realized we weren't live. So at first you were just a campaign player for. So I assume Rome Total War, and then I heard about Shogun 2 that you played, and maybe other title, but you were still playing almost exclusively campaign, and it's Warhammer 1 that brought you to the multiplayer scene.
And it isn't even almost exclusively campaign. I didn't even know multiplayer existed, really.
Okay,
until Warhammer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so. I mean, I think that at this point, there is still a lot of people that play Warhammer on a pretty daily basis that still don't know that the multiplayer community exists. So, besides like toxic quick battles once in a while, getting crushed by 12 SEM and ending the game there.
Yeah. It's hard to develop a love for multiplayer in quick battle.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't necessarily see the best in the community when you start with quick battle, even though you meet really nice people in quick battle, mostly tournament players, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll find a real gem in quick battle and be like, "Hey, do you know tournaments exist? Because you should really play them."
Yeah, no, definitely. So when you started, you told me that you started actually watching Ninja Hunt. And that's the person that brought you to multiplayer, which is, I think, fantastic, given how much of a personality, even though he left the community at this point, this guy was, and all the memes that there is about Ninja Hunt.
Yeah, he's become a little bit of a meme. I would say that early on, he was one of the biggest exposures to multiplayer, and just the idea that you could play exclusively multiplayer, and especially for me. Once some of the drama really began, that's oh man, that was stupid. Let's do it. Let's trade him.
No, don't do that. Oh no. No, it's actually good for you. I have played terribly that game. I think it's the stress. Where is Lijaun a meme? Basically, wait. Okay, let me just. I just realized something really important. There you go. Okay, that's better. Why? When did nobody tell me that only a quarter of the stream was covered by the chessboard? What, guys? Chat. Like I'm a very professional streamer, but I'm really disappointed with my. Yeah, crushing them at chess. That was the dream. It's apparently not coming true. Okay, but we have other games. We'll do better next time.
Saturday morning warm up.
Yeah, I mean for me it's already 5 p.m. But yes, Saturday afternoon for warm up. Let's just say.
Me on Saturday it's morning until 5 p.m.
At least. Okay. And so you were watching Ninja, and did you start so probably with Quick Battles too, or were you? How long did it take you from Quick Battle to actual first tournaments?
I played about a week of Quick Battles, playing exclusively dwarfs because that was the faction I wanted to learn on. I just really like the idea of short, grumpy little men, and beards are wonderful. And so then I played my first tournament, and I ran into an amazing player in Warhammer 1 named Suku Yodesu. And we played dwarves versus greenskins with me as dwarves first, and he crushed me, just absolutely destroyed me with a build. I was like, this is a great build. And then, after that, he picked dwarves first, so I was like, well, I know how the greenskin versus dwarf game should go, so I took his greenskin army, and he crushed me again.
Oh no.
And it was amazing, because we actually became really good friends after that, and I learned so much more in those 2 games than I think I've learned ever since, that it was just one of the best experiences, despite losing horribly.
No, I completely understand that. For me, it has been the same. My first Total War tournament experience was against Gobo Slayer, and he utterly massacred me. But he also invited me to the XMT clan that I joined just after that, so it was actually great, and it was a good way to meet. Well, also one of my best friends in the community, so apparently this is a recurring theme. You get horribly crushed by a great player, and then you become their friend.
Yeah, Sue, Ondyaga, Pippington, and I all started a clan like a few months later. So it was almost the same idea there.
Wait, one quick question. Could you lower the sound of your... Wait, is that me? No, it might be me, actually. Wait. Try lowering the sound of your chess, because when we move pieces, it does a lot of sound, and I don't know if it was you or not.
That might make it easier. Give me 2 seconds.
The chess isn't moving? What? No, wait, I see it moving. Is it just me?
I mean, I see the game moving.
Spartan, are you miming me? You hear no chess at all? Okay, that's great, because there was some click that I was hearing, and that was clearly moving pieces. Might be you? Oh, okay. Okay.
Alright, is this better? Or, I guess you can't tell yet, but
well, I'll hear when you move a piece. That's perfect, I didn't hear a thing.
Perfect.
And I don't know how to like regulate the sound on chess just yet, so like it's either really way too loud or like muted like now. So, well, let me think. Let me think about a relevant move. Let's just do that.
Well, I don't think it's a problem to tell you that my strategy was to blitz the right side of the board, which is why the left side hasn't moved at all.
Yeah. I mean, you're still leading by a full knight. Oh, not a full knight, but almost a full knight. You're doing fine. Okay.
isn't going to be the most embarrassing, at least, is I think what we found out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so you arrived in the community. So what year was it? 2016?
It was about 6 months after the game came out, so I think that was 2016.
Okay, yeah, so it was really the beginning of the multiplayer scene. Like, even in terms of content creator, besides Ninja Hunt on Twitch, like on YouTube, was there any big personalities? Was Turin already there at that point?
Turin was just starting at that point, so his community wasn't nearly the size it was today. But he was definitely there, and once I discovered him, I did all I could to try to hit him on ladder. And he has a couple of really early casts of him destroying my dwarfs. But then there was also Heir of Carthage, who was really the person that was just the staple in the community at that point.
Yeah, wait. Okay, let's try something. Okay, I want to look at something. Let's do that. Sure, let's trade down everything.
Yeah, I guess I forced myself into this. Okay.
Yeah, but we're just trading at this point. We probably ain't gonna end up in a draw, which is kind of sad, but okay. Oh, there you go there. So the multiplayer community isn't very big. So what kind of tournament was there at the time? Like, in terms of tournament organizer? So there was, I've heard Ninja Hunt was doing tournaments himself.
So in the very beginning, it was something called the ESL, which was the esports league, and that was like the staple tournament. It didn't happen overly often, but it was a larger organization than just Warhammer hosting it. The issue with it became that the admins were playing in the tournaments, and so everyone kept calling foul play.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just a little bit much. So I would say each iteration, there's really been quite a bit of learning. And one of the biggest learnings from that was that you can't have admins play, and it was actually a disagreement with Ninja Hunt that kind of caused them to stop playing overall. But after that, Ninja Hunt was pretty much one of the main hosts, along with Korn's Champion, who was basically a oh god, that was so dumb on my part. That's not checkmate. Okay. With Korn's Champion, who was a single player streamer, and I ended up organizing a lot of tournaments for him to cast in the end, which was a lot of fun because it meant that I got to watch them. But at one point, Korn's Champion and Ninja Hunt both took a break for Christmas in 2016, so there was like a month of no tournaments, which really made me unhappy, and I started hosting them. And just loved it. So I've been hosting ever since, although not nearly as often as I used to.
Okay. So your first experience were you even using challenge in these wretched time, or how was it working?
Yeah, so we were using challenge to start with, and after that, this is looking worse and worse for me right now. And after challenge, we kind of turned into it just got more established. It was really getting one set of rules right that was the biggest issue, and I'm clearly playing for a draw right now. Oh wait, fuck, sorry.
It's okay.
I am down a rook, aren't I? This is not good. A rook and 2 pawns.
Yeah, I might be winning that one. There is a chance there. Okay. Well, let's start pushing pawns, I guess. Okay. Let me. Hey, Regina.
But yeah.
Raptor.
And so basically, Korn's Champion kind of stopped casting tournaments right around when Warhammer 2 came out. And because of that, I bought myself a little bit of streaming gear, and Pippington and I started co-casting some tournaments.
Okay.
And how do I concede this? I guess I just moved into checkmate.
There is a button on the right with a flag, and you can concede there. Okay. Do you want another? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It was one stumble, I think, and beside that, you were doing fine. Okay, so you wanted to see the Queen's Gambit, so I'm gonna do it for you. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So wait, is Korn Champion still active in streaming? Beside the multiplayer content, do you know about it? Have you still contact with the guy?
I think he's doing different games at this point. He moved away from Warhammer when Battlefleet Gothic 3 came out, but then I have no idea what to do. Okay. And then basically after that, my son HW started streaming tournaments, and Turin was getting more involved in tournaments, so the scene started taking off, which was really awesome. And that's why I don't feel too guilty about not hosting very often, because everyone else has kind of picked up the slack there.
Yeah, no, the community, the tournament community is very active these days. I mean, that's part of why I don't do much of them, because I feel like there is, at least on the, like, from Thursday to Sunday, you have, almost every week, you will have Viking, Rubber Duck, Anti-City, Viking, HW, Turin, and on Sunday you also have the fresh recruit of HW, and you have often some like smaller content creators like Valkonos or other that also organize tournaments. So like besides the beginning of the week, you almost have one tournament per day. And now you have the Turin Swiss League going on like almost every day. So yeah, the tournament scene has definitely expanded quite a lot.
Yeah, and it's so nice to see that, because it just means we get so much more variety. And if, you don't like the way one person hosts a tournament, you just play another. If you didn't make one, you have another to play. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was one of my questions. How do you see like the evolution of the community in terms of multiplayer? Because on the one hand, it's bigger, but like, does it bother you that like the people you started playing with, the Onyager and other like big players, they kind of like left the scene? For you, it must have been quite a shock of like the new generation arriving and the generation you started with kind of leaving the scene.
A lot of it was really the change in mechanics between Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2, and that kind of made a lot of the people that were in my clan a little bit disillusioned with just how things were going. And basically we were a little less pro single entity than Warhammer 2 is making out, and we loved our clan was called Cycle Charge, so we loved charging with cavalry, and all the mechanics changed, and there were a couple of bugs then that caused the way we really liked playing not to be a viable strategy anymore, and so that really turned a couple of us off, and then they just moved on to other games, which was really sad, but there are a lot of new faces, which is really cool as well.
Well, if you look at the meta now, would you say that they address some of the things with the single entities and with the head of the banner rules, for example? Oh,
nope, not at all.
Yeah, that's what I
think it's still a huge problem, and every single patch moves it much more towards a less skill-based and a more build-based game.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a very fair assessment. With my anecdotal experience, I can notice that I play a lot less than I used to, so my mechanical skills are terrible these days. But since I know the game better, I actually probably have sometimes better results just because the build creation is so important in this game.
And there are just certain pieces of the game that you need to save like a specific counter piece for, rather than, you know, having just like force of arms be able to win it for you if you won the battle in every other area. And so that, I think, at least for me, causes one of the bigger frustrations. And because of that, there really just isn't as much of a drive for me to play competitively right now, so I understand where they're coming from. But I also get that it's a slightly different game. It's definitely much more fantasy-like and a little less like older Total Wars. So I'm not really unhappy with the way it's going. I just think personally, for me, it isn't the way I would have wanted it to go.
So when you say like Sacred Child, so you wanted a game that was incorporating forms of fantasy, but was kind of staying true to the way the game was played in historical Total Wars a bit more?
Yeah, I think the positioning from historical Total Wars is something that's pretty lost right now. Just like the absolute... this poor knight. What do I do with it? I think I give it up. Oh god, that poor guy.
It's okay. Take a second to look at your board. Ice Power, I know you're excellent at chess, so don't judge us too harshly, okay? Hello.
You can judge me all you want, Ice Power. I am not the best at chess, as is being demonstrated to you live.
Ice Power, I'd love to play chess with you, okay? That would be a learning experience for me. Your dad is a god? Damn. Okay.
Not even gonna take your pawn, just wanted to get stuck. That's the level of spite that causes me to enjoy Dawi.
Yeah, no, definitely. Grumbrindle has recently become a member of my community, and I'm like, oh god, can I handle the dwarf sword? I'm not sure I can. I love dwarf mains, okay, but they are a very special community, don't you think?
I think that if you started the game playing dwarves, you have a very different perspective on basically the entire strategy of the game than almost anyone else, just because you have experienced some of what feels like the absolute craziest abuse throughout your latter experience. And so you learn everything you need to have in a build rather than everything you want to have in a build. And it's kind of, I think it's a different experience. I think it's a great way to learn strategy because you really don't get to come back from a mistake as a dwarf.
Yeah, no, that's definitely... I think dwarves are... I mean, you could expand a bit on that, but I think dwarf is a faction that, for newer players, probably looks like a very easy-to-play faction. Like, you just, you know, box and wait for the enemy to die on your ranks, but that there is actually a lot more finesse to their gameplay.
Yeah, I would say that that you get a lot of easy wins when you play against new players as dwarves. That's definitely true. But you don't get any wins when you play against a player that knows what they're doing.
Do you think the last patch with the mass changes? I mean, dwarf seems to be in a really good place right now in the meta.
So I haven't been playing very much, honestly, very much of the game at all lately. When I play Bretonia and I just spam knights and charge everywhere because that's the most fun for me. Oh man, that was bad. But I do think that that the mass change probably helped, but it's really the health pools of single entities that makes life hard for the dwarves, because if you can get that entity away, there's no dwarf that's catching it. and it's just as strong as it was in the beginning. And so that's historically been the way to abuse dwarves, and I still think it's the way to do it. And that's why chariots are so good, because they're quick and they have so few models that it's really hard to actually take a model off of them. So the Dawi damage is kind of negligible unless you actually kill them. So I think there's a lot of give and take there, but I would bet that the mass change helped. I don't think it really fixed anything because Dawi were already pretty great against Cav, and the biggest change I've seen is that Cav can't run over infantry anymore.
No, Cav does get stuck a lot more these days, which is something that personally I might be a bit sad about, because it's it might be tough for your Cav to... I mean, it makes it harder for your Cav to be effective, but... Which I always felt like...
really like it.
Okay, tell me more about it. I'd love to hear your perspective on that. Bye-bye, Rachel.
So,
hello, Leaf.
So there used to be this trick you could do where if there was a braced unit in front of another unit, you could just charge the unit behind it and it would just shoot your Cav straight through the braced unit, and that was the same way you could get out of a trap. Now if someone summons on you, your Cav... Like... There's a lot less forgiveness for mistakes, and I think that is honestly what the game needs. I don't think it's as much about lack of... Let me think of how to phrase this. I don't think that units are too weak in the game. I think, almost for the most part, I think things could be balanced down just because... You should be punished for your mistakes. Otherwise, strategy is kind of taken away from you in a really rough way. And that makes it so that, at least in my opinion, if you can't punish someone for a mistake, what is the point of playing against a human rather than the AI?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's actually a very good point. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I have a disdain for single entities, but at the same time, I understand that it is a strong mechanic that is actually a lot of fun for people to use. Like, it's a singular thing in Total War games, which is really cool. But I feel like there are a lot of half measures done, and that kind of bothers me. Oh wow, I just set myself up for that real hard.
It's okay. We have time for one more, if you want.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see if I can maybe.
You have the white.
Decent showing.
You have the white, so you have a slight advantage there.
But yeah, I would say that I've been pretty consistently in the Total War tournament community for a while. That's why I started the tournament Discord, but there are a couple of people that are much more consistent than I've been, and they're almost all from the Russian community, which is pretty interesting to me.
Yes.
But the Russian community is really strong for this game, even if there isn't as much integration all the time as you'd expect.
Yeah, that's actually that's a perfect transition, Shetland. Thank you so much for that. About the World Championship, that was, I mean, at the beginning, it's even like now the administrative team is huge and there is lots of people involved. It was like Mole's baby at the start. What do you think about that event and how it could what do you think the impact of such an event is, and are you excited for it? Do you think it will change things in terms of organization?
I think that a collaboration of streamers is absolutely amazing, the way they're doing it. And it's something that doesn't really happen enough. I think that there could be difficulties. We've seen difficulties for large international events in the past, whether it's connection speed or things like that, but just the amount of coverage, I think, is going to be really amazing for the community here. And it's just going to kind of change dynamics if this is something we can continue to do, because there are big isolated communities of players, and there are tournaments I've never heard of until I see the results of, like specific Polish tournaments or German tournaments. There are just so many that you would never hear about if you're not a piece of it, that I think bringing all of those players into the same place is going to be really amazing.
Yeah, no, I definitively agree with that. And I think that one thing that may have been... I think the idea of having a world champion also like could give legitimacy as at the thing. Like, you're not just the champion of the ESL, for example. Even if I'm taking the ESL because it might be, since it's Turin organizing it, the biggest tournament in terms of impact there is, beside the Ever Chosen, obviously. But having like a world champion, the first of the history, I think could be very important for a lot of people to give more than just, being the champion of yet another tournament, even though, of course, that's still very good. I think that could help. Could I? Would you? Okay, let's do that. We'll think about it later.
Yeah, I'm playing this like someone who's never played chess playing speed chess. Just not well. Yeah, you've just taken the whole board in like 5 moves because I failed at that stupid 4-move checkmate.
Yeah, people keep trying to do this to me, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it did get me more times than I'm comfortable saying, but still, at some point, I kind of know how to react to it. Go away. You're gonna take a pawn? No, you can't. Okay, I'm fine. Do you see yourself getting more involved again in the tournament organization?
I think probably not the same formats of tournament that we usually see, the 12,400 funds. But I do really enjoy things like the Warband League that I'm hosting right now, because it's a great way for like new players to do things. Wow, I am an idiot.
Do you want that back? We could do...
Not at all. Okay. Not at all. I have to live with my mistakes.
That's talking as a true competitive player.
That is the kind of thing that I wish could happen in Warhammer. Right there. Where someone does something stupid and leaves their general out for a second. I wish that it could get gooned in a snap of the fingers, rather than, 2 minutes of units bashing on the side of a single entity hitting the air next to it.
So I'm gonna assume you're not the biggest fan of resistance stacking on some of the new DLC units and lords, having both like physical magic and missile resistance on unit like the Fae or stuff like that.
I honestly think that resistances like that being a staple in a roster are really bad. I have no problem with single units having it, but when, for example, early on High Elves, when they came out, relied pretty heavily on physical resistance for a lot of their units, a lot of their elites at least, and it made the matchup so segmented, because, Bretonnia would destroy them, and then everyone else would have a hard time, or something like that. So I don't mind it in certain patches in a roster. I don't think the Green Knight is a bad thing. I'm very Bretonian favored right now, clearly. But I do think that having all of the knights in Bretonnia have a 20% physical resistance is a little weird. It just means that certain units are extremely good against them, and certain factions don't have access to that. So I don't like anything that unbalances the game for an entire faction, which I do feel like resistant stacking over multiple units gets to do.
Wait, give me 1 second to look at what I'm doing now.
The whole point is that you don't have to look at what you're doing. Don't worry about it.
I'm not thinking about it. You know what? I'm just gonna do moves, okay?
Oh, I'll take that trade. Yeah, I'm not using this guy. You know what? While we're at it, actually, nah. Let's
You wanted to
strengthen
trade
one.
bishops? Okay, let's trade bishops. Okay. So, can you talk to me a bit about the Warband League? I actually don't know about it because, as I told you, I've been a bit away from the Warhammer community for a while, not streaming as much. So I have no idea what it even is.
So it's actually an idea that isn't one of my own. It's something that someone did, I want to say 2 years ago for the first time, which is you start with a little army, and every game you get more gold to build on it, but you can't like trade any units or anything. And so we've tried it a few times over the past couple of years, and it's really fun early on because you're getting to know one army really well. So if you're a new player, it helps you with the micro task. If you're someone like me, you get to craft a story for the army, which I find to be really fun.
Still the child in the woods with his wooden sword.
Yeah, I'm currently playing Sir Digby Chicken Caesar as my warband leader right now. Oh my god.
That was a questionable move. I don't know what
Now
the
that-
plan was, but
It's a long-term plan.
I believe in you.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Just don't worry about it. We're sick of winning in this country. But yeah, so basically it's a chance for that wasn't smart either. For a lot of new players to get exposed to armies, or a lot of older players to build a narrative for an army and build a single army over time. And it usually fizzles out when you get to around 4 or 5 rounds in. But this time I just put a prize at the end of it so that people will keep playing. And so it's 7 rounds. You get 1,000 gold each round. You start with a 5,000 gold army, which means you get to 12,000 at the end. And after that, you have a tournament, and the winner gets $200.
Nice. 200. Wow, that's quite a nice prize pool for the Warhammer community. I mean, that's already on the high end of tournaments.
Yeah, I used to host tournaments with a decent prize pool like every once in a while, and I just haven't had the You have destroyed me utterly, Happy Puppy. There is no way I'm going to beat you in chess today. I am your new Wagenstein.
Yeah, I mean, I did put in the name of the stream that I would crush you. I had to stay true to it. GG though, that was. I mean, you've told me that you haven't played since you were a kid, so like we are basically the same age. It must have been like 15 years or 20 years since the last time you actually played. Don't feel too bad.
I'll come back with vengeance. Don't worry.
Definitely.
As a dwarf, I now need to practice chess for about 500 hours, and then I'll be back.
Exactly. I mean, I'm planning to start doing more chess streams myself. So you know what? I'll keep a place for you. Okay? I'll be ready.
Sounds good. When I'm
training.
Grandmaster status, I'll come back and I'll redeem myself.
Exactly. I mean, that's the idea of any good story, right? The hero loses to the villain in the first time, gets demolished, and you queue up the training montage, and you'll be back. You'll be back with a vengeance.
As actually, this is the last plug I'll do for Warbands, but my round 2 game was against a slightly newer player who's playing vampire counts. And they're just best of ones. And first game, he spread out too much, and I just capitalized on it because I have a ton of cav in my warband. And then we talked about like what he could have done differently, and we played 2 more games, and I didn't get close to winning either of them. And I've been playing probably 20, 30, maybe 40 times as long as he has. So that's the kind of like learning you get to do, just how to use a small army and figure out what units work well together, what roles to use.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I think the Warhammer community does well is having a lot of different formats of tournament. I don't know what you think about it, but if you look between the wheel tournaments, you have random army tournaments, you have terrible lord tournament faction wars. I think the Warhammer community has been pretty creative in terms of reinventing the formats.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot cooler. At first, it was all just best of three bracket, one faction at a time, no repeats kind of thing. Um, then I stole a bunch of Hearthstone tournament formats, and that was a little bit of fun, but they're nowhere near as good as what we do now with the faction wheels, and the faction wars are pretty cool, but just the long running tournaments that people are able to do now, we didn't have that kind of interest early on, so it's amazing to see it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I really like. I mean, for you that has been there since the beginning, in terms of like community building and how like the community evolves from the personalities that do you think it evolves in a good way? I pretty often hear that it's for an online competitive community. It's a very nice one. What's your input on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of the people that are the forefront of the community right now are really thoughtful and just looking to enjoy themselves with the game, which is something that I find to be absolutely wonderful. If we compare how divisive the community was 3 years ago to what it is now, there's just amazing progress that's been made. And I think that's really in a large part due to the players, but even more so to the content creators who do respect the players they cast. They don't, badmouth each other or turn anything into a personal vendetta. It's really just about how did they play this game, which is really nice when you compare it to some communities where you have like really, really just toxic relationships there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, I think the World Championship, once again, is a testament to that because, I mean, the fact that as many content creators from all over the world and some coming back, like I've heard like people like Mr. Smart Donkey and people like that haven't been very active in the on the scene these past.
Yeah, I think Party Elite is going to be participating in it. And
yes, he will be.
I'm so excited for because his total breakdowns, no offense intended to any content producer, but I don't think their strategic overviews that in depth anywhere else online. Love his total breakdown, so I'm hoping that they come back too.
Yeah, I mean, the hope is like not only that we have like a lot of names, but it's also like to revitalize the community because, I mean, coming back a bit to the meta and the changes there is, I feel like one of the issues there might be is that the people get very excited when there is a new meta, but the way the game evolves is kind of maybe in a certain direction, like you already talked about, and that after a few months, like between each DLC, the meta stales out a bit, and then there is some more pressure, I guess.
So there actually, this is something I used to track, but I don't anymore. I used to have a ranking sheet for every tournament, how every player did, and then I would have like an overall seeding rank based on that. I think I ended it at the end of Warhammer 1 just because too many people were having tournaments at the end of that and I couldn't keep up. But you would notice that there are certain people that do really well at the beginning of DLCs and certain people that do really well at the end. And it's really cool to see because that just means that there are certain people that are very good at innovating new ideas and others that are really good at like perfecting those ideas. And it's really cool to see that sort of breakdown. I was never one of the perfecting people. My best chance was always like the first tournament in DLC, and then my ideas were stale.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, the fact that we have both is really useful. Like, it would be, I mean, I'm comparing to the other like online game I'm watching a lot. It's Age of Empires, which is also like a 20-year-old game, right? And it has a very active competitive scene. I don't know if you watch it sometime.
I don't, but I know it exists.
Yeah,
I used to play it in like high school with my friends, and we were terrible at it. But yeah, I was more of a StarCraft person.
Yeah, And they do. So if I compare to Age of Empires, they do have patches that fixes things on the edges, right? And sometimes you have new faction that like revitalize things a bit. But mostly in the past 5 years, the meta hasn't shifted that much. Besides a few units for specific factions, right? And I don't.
Yeah.
So the meta is a lot more established than it is in Warhammer 2. And what I hope is that we won't we will be able to have an enjoyable meta once the game is stabilized, which means after like Warhammer 2, because maybe you can contradict me here, but don't you think there is a lot of people that have been infected by the Warhammer like thing, and once it goes back to only historical Total Wars, might have trouble playing in a multiplayer game where there is no single entities, no spell, no flying monsters and stuff like that?
I think that there are a lot of opportunities to do like continued improvements in Warhammer even after Game 3 is released and all the DLC is released. One of the like biggest things that bothers me in multiplayer is there's so many ideas that seem like they're partially formed but not completely done. I would say flying units is the best example of this, because rather than having 3 dimensions that they work in, they just work on 2 different 2-dimensional planes.
Terrible
And
at the game. Sorry.
I think something along those lines in terms of just developing those mechanics there will breathe new life into the game every single time a mechanic like that is fleshed out. So that's honestly what I'm hoping for as time goes forward, as well as a lab setting for multiplayer so that you could set like HP levels to, 95% if you want a little less HP or something in a game. And that would let you have different metas depending on the different settings. But yeah, I really hope they don't abandon it once all the basic DLC comes out, because it is such a big driver of people into the Total War community that it would be a shame.
Yeah, that idea of a lab for multiplayer, actually, I mean, I don't know. I never heard about it before. Did you talk about it with some people? It's actually not an idea I've heard too much talked about. And
No, it's just kind of some things that I've been kicking around in my head is like what I would want is a wish list for features. One is a lab, one is a setting where you can play a unit from any faction. I think that would be an interesting way to do multiplayer as well, where you can just have a hodgepodge of units from a bunch of different factions against each other, so there's no real balance issue. I don't know. I think that there are a lot of options that take very little implementation, so that would be an interesting way to keep the game alive.
no, definitely, and that would also like help people organizing tournament to keep creating new things with different settings. Like, I mean, the possibilities would be pretty much endless with these two additions.
Yeah, I hope that, I mean, I'm sure someone can make a mod, but the one thing, this is the last piece I'll say, the one thing that I think is totally underutilized in the multiplayer community are player-made maps. It's something that some people actually put quite a bit of effort into, and a lot of the time they're better than the CA-made maps. So I try to mix them into my tournaments when I can, but I think it's a shame that they don't get highlighted, just because there are some really interesting and beautiful maps, and they totally change the way the game is played if there's interesting terrain on them.
Yeah, I think the issue might. I mean, we need people like you, like casters like me, need people like you to actually grind through the workshop and and look at what's good there, because
I'll endorse any map made by Waka Waka 3000. His maps are quite good for multiplayer.
okay. Do you test them with friends, for example, things like that?
I tested a few of them for warbands, and we have 2 in the map pool right now, which we thought were quite good for multiplayer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I'd be interested. You know what? I want, like, I'm probably gonna be out of the country for 2 weeks, so I'd be able to maybe do chess streams, but nothing more. But I'd actually be interested in doing a multiplayer community created map pool tournament.
Yeah,
So
it's cool, but it can be a little bit glitchy. But here, I'll just send you a link to his list of multiplayer maps because I think it's worth. Yeah, I think we're at time too, so I
yeah,
should let you
yeah,
get on to my HW.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we are at time, but HW is a tiny bit late, so that's why I'm
Okay,
continuing. But you
that's
can
fine with me.
definitely. So
Uh, Now I have nowhere to be. I'm just gonna watch you guys casting. So
yeah, I mean that's HW does such like having him every week doing his two leagues is such a good addition to the community.
yeah, he's a super positive force.
Exactly, and I mean I beat him in a battle last week, so I'm happy to
Yes,
co-cast.
sure.
I now feel like I can co-cast with him, standing proud.
You should ask him about. He actually was one of the players that played before I did. Um, and you should ask him about using Bretonia in Warhammer 1 because he was the best Bretonia player in Warhammer 1,
Oh, okay.
hands down, early days. That was the first time I saw him. He beat Greenskins with Bretonia, which just wowed me. Just like crazy calf rush. It was beautiful.
Nice. Um, yeah, I mean, Britannia is once again in a pretty decent position in terms of multiplayer. Not necessarily just thanks to its scav, mind you, but I think that compared to sometimes the Britonians are definitely they're not top tier necessarily, but they are quite up
They're,
there.
they're pretty good right now. I think they've been really good, honestly, for the past few patches, and it was just people weren't really playing with them the way they are now, and it took them a little while to figure it out. But yeah, Bretonia's been good for a little while, and it's so nice because they're so fun to play. How else am I going to have a chivalrous charge into the enemy? Empire? I think not. They have grenades. Why would I use cavalry?
True, true. Yeah, I think. What? Important question. What's your position on hero blobbing?
Um, I think it's fine as long as heroes aren't as strong as they currently are. Personally, I think the main solution to blobbing would be to have all auras and all magic have the same effect on allies and enemies within the AoE. And I think that would basically end blobbing because you'd have to think about it a lot more before you cast a spell.
Okay. Okay, no, that's actually a solution because it has been a point of contention. The blobbiness. Oh no,
Yeah,
Spartan, what happened? You lost. I'm sorry.
I
Sorry, I
honestly
cut you
don't.
off.
No worries. I honestly don't think it's the heroes that are the problem there. I really do think that it's magic being able to be just like used so effectively when you get someone to blob up that is a problem.
Yeah, I
Like the
mean,
heroes themselves are strong and probably a little too strong, but they aren't causing that cancerous game. It's the AoE Nahak or the AoE Soul Stealer that's really making it so you can't fight that army. Or the Mortis Drain from Skaven, Bretonia, and Vampire counts now. I don't know how many factions,
I
but
mean, even Kron Elebrand has it. Don't forget
oh,
about
does she?
her.
I've played Dark Elves maybe once in my entire life.
Yeah, and like
I'm
I mean,
not.
the Kron is the proof that you can have a lord with a Mortis engine effect and not be overpowered because she is definitely not. Uh,
Well, she's squishy, right? Like you can kill her, and that's the thing you can't do to the Fae. And even though the Fae is definitely one of my favorite lords to play, I recognize how it's not a good character design.
yeah, I mean, she's really good. She's, I mean, Alariel at the time, Alariel was getting a lot of hate because of how good her Star of Avalon is, but it's true that if you compare her to the Fae is so much better. 60% magical resist on her unicorn.
I would say Larry is way worse than the Fae just because of how strongly you can concentrate that value. Um, being able to heal, like, being able to change any engagement that you should be losing to be a totally winning engagement without taking any damage is freaking ridiculous. And that's basically what Larry does.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're both pretty cancerous lords. I love playing the Fae and I hate High Elves, so I'm clearly very biased about that.
Okay, well, I'm kind of on the other side. I know I'm French, and people I've tried to make me play Britannia, but I just can't. Britannia is a faction I can't comprehend, except if I play with Repens, but not with the best success. But yeah, yeah, I'm more of a high elf player myself, but I don't bring a Larry. Larry isn't my first choice most of the time.
Yeah, I've kind of stopped bringing the Fae, and I'm more of an Alberic person now, just because he's a lot of fun and he gives an anti-large aura, which is totally underrated. But he is too squishy for that. I have been actually thinking of switching to the Chevalier of Lyonnaise. Don't judge my French pronunciation.
I
I've
am
never had to
judging.
use
Okay.
it.
Hello,
But
Stellan. How are you doing? Dwarf are the best
having a
race.
lord on, yes, dwarfs are the best race.
Okay, so like first off, calm down there. You're on my stream. Here we hate stunties, except when I win with them. Okay, that's the rule.
Yeah, your game, was it yesterday with the stunties against the Greenskins, was a lot of fun to watch
Oh
on
yeah,
current stream.
yeah. I have to thank
Um,
Ron Brindle because I wouldn't have brought four Iron Drakes, two like fire and two torpedoes if I didn't see him bring eight of them or something like that in my King of the Hill. So
yeah, they can be pretty tough little guys. Um, but yeah, I think Chevaliers might be totally underrated right now because you can get two Griffin characters, and I've been playing with a Griffin a little bit, and it's not that much worse than Lewin or anything else. So I think I'm going to change my faction to Chevaliers from Bretonia.
I mean that will
Chevalier,
yeah Chevalier. Yeah.
Chevalier.
Yeah. And also, like, if you do King of the Hill and stuff like that, even though you have a good reason for it and you're not doing it to please the crowd, that will bring you a lot of positive support. Being,
I
wait,
think the one
people
thing I've
watching.
never one
Sorry.
thing I've never been accused of is playing meta armies just because if I'm using someone else's army, I don't have fun. I want to see if I can win in the way I want to win rather than win in the way that I know I should.
Hey, Parkmap. You had fun getting destroyed by my dwarf. Well, that's all that matters then. Everybody was happy. Thank you,
I
Esteban,
think
for the host.
it sounds like you have to start playing more dwarves, Happy Puppy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the more, but the thing is, what I like is kiting with Tomb Kings. Okay, that's my life.
I,
Kiting with skeleton archers is the thing I enjoy the most in the game.
you use skull catapults when you kite or not?
No, I mean, sometimes I can do it. I have an anti-dwarf build that is pretty fun, and it doesn't use skull catapults. But I can't
If
talk
you
about
can
that build.
beat dwarves with Tomb Kings, I will be very impressed. I
I
find
I
that to be like such a hard matchup to lose as Dawi.
I have done it, but not versus the top tier. Oh god, yes, Hess
There,
Spartan Elite. I actually forgot to change the tag. Today is I mean, this is the end. This is not really the interview part anymore. We're just talking. Hey, Mars. The interview is pretty much over at this point. We're just chatting while we wait for HW to start streaming. So I go co-cast with him. So we are just watching high-level chess play to shame both of us for what we did earlier and having a nice conversation. There's two Spartans now, yeah, they're everywhere. Warhammer
I
chess, I
think
love it.
I think you can use the excuse that I was bringing you down to my level in the chess game.
No, I would never do that, okay? Because if I say that, then they will see me play against other people and I won't have that excuse anymore.
Fair enough. I mean, you're just letting them win. You can't win every time. It gets disheartening for the viewers.
Exactly, and also like viewers, they like to root for the underdog. So if I win too much,
All of my favorite YouTube videos are streamers or people playing games and just having a hard time. That's the most fun thing to watch. Oh man, like when Kingdom Come Deliverance came out, I just watched like 3 hours of people getting beaten up by the town drunk. It was amazing.
that sounds like fun. I mean, my streams are perfect for that when I play because I think a viewer versus puppy a few months back, I think, and the end result was like I was leading 14 to 12, something like that. But you have to accept that also most of my wins were against people that actually never played multiplayer before they faced me. So
I mean, don't tell people that. There's still wins.
there are still wins, yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely like if you see like Turin, for example, or NTCT or Falcon. Oh, like lots of the top content creators are also top level players. I go for something different.
Yeah, Matt,
I mean, it's
honestly,
the French accent, okay? I just can't. You can't stop the French accent. I am also a real puppy. Shetland, I had one more question. I will edit it in because that's very important, okay? With a name like yours, are you a furry? A brownie, and don't tell me neither of them because I will get mad at you.
I need to look up the definition of one of them.
Brownie?
Yeah.
Brownies are like the fans of My Little Pony.
I mean, I would definitely fall more into that category than the furry category, I would say.
Okay.
I'm giving you all the wrong answers about my personal life, Happy Puppy.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gay.
Not gay, I'm not a furry.
Yeah.
For all you know, I'm obsessed with Disney, and I believe there's true love in the world.
I mean, okay, I'm a true love believer. Thank you for the photos, Spartan Elite. Yeah, and if you came for Warhammer 2 content, I will go back to that soon. Also, where is HW? HW, my friend. Like, you're already...
You might just have to start without him.
I mean, I can't start. I can't start this tournament without him. And thank you, BDB Russ. I can't start this tournament without him.
Hostile takeover. This is Happy Puppy's tournament now.
Yeah. I mean, probably. At the end, it always ends up like that. I take over other people's tournaments because I can't be bothered to create mine.
Well, if you want to cast any Warband League games, you're always welcome to.
I mean, definitely.
I don't love casting, but I'll do it now and then when I need to.
Yeah. I think what I mean, I like, if I do tournament, I like co-casting. I feel like that's the one thing that I try to add to the Total War scene a bit more because I'd say maybe Viking does it a bit also. I don't watch as much as his content, but like I feel like there is so many content creators and we all like hang out and like each other, but I feel like the one thing that lacks a bit is besides me there is very few co-casting between content creators in tournaments, and I think that's a good thing to add.
It kind of goes up and down. So they're like early on, Ninja Hunt and Sappho T would co-cast every single tournament together, and I agree with you. It's just great to hear people actually speaking to each other about the game rather than just kind of like reading a book aloud, which is what one person casting is often like, even if it's super exciting, it's still one person's ideas. There's no real pushback or anything.
I mean,
So,
when it's me, don't worry, my chat is pushing back aggressively.
what are you doing, Happy Puppy? How could you think that?
Yeah, I mean, I had people that was saying that all my takes on the game were all hot takes. So yeah, I have my own ideas on units and things, and I can't be proven wrong, even if I lose all the games with the ideas I have. So yeah, I mean that's you know the
And
game is so
it's
rich.
also nice because tournaments go on for so long that it means that one of you can get a break while the other one entertains people now and then.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely true, and there is also oh, okay, Spartan Elite. Yeah. Well, as I said, this isn't like the most representative stream of all. For me, usually I do more. Oh, well, since there are new people, let's link. I don't think any of my mods are here because my mods are scrub because I don't pay them. But so here is my Discord. um, but yeah, like usually it's more Warhammer content. I mostly do King of the Hill, and for newer player, I actually do coaching streams, like I did yesterday, which I think was pretty fun. Watching newer player fight is, I think, always a nice experience because like they have different, like it makes for very entertaining battles to see newer players that don't necessarily know the meta, that also don't have
Yeah,
perfect micro, get it out at each other.
and just seeing new ideas is always fun.
Exactly. And sometimes, I mean, they will use unit that you wouldn't think of using because, like, in the meta and with all the top players, they don't use them. So you're like, I'm not gonna risk it. Then you see a lower level player using it with great success against another lower level player, and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna test it just to see. And sometimes that's how you get new and powerful ideas.
Yeah, those like super secret builds that no one would ever expect.
Oh
Um,
my god, what the oh, no, okay, I'm gonna go back to
do you
bullet.
do you get a lot of newer players in those streams? Because whenever I used to try to do stuff like that, I always struggled to like get enough new players that actually wanted to play.
Well, it depends. Like, yeah, so yesterday I think we had 12 person playing, but arguably four of them were smurfing as newer players. I mean, smurfing for fun. We all like they didn't try to hide the fact
Yeah,
that they weren't new, but they all had their own excuses on why they should be considered newer players, and I brought them together. But we had like 8 new players.
that's awesome. That is good. Like if you can get, even two new players every stream, that's two new people in the community every single time. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's I think part of the evolution of my viewer base. Is that at the beginning it was all pretty much tournament players that I knew personally, that came to watch, and then oh that this isn't going well for black, and also like it was mostly like somewhat high level players, but the more it advances, the more I have new people joining that. Actually, sometimes only watch my content, and I pity them for it.
Well, I mean that's amazing though, because that's a totally new player. I always try like when I'm playing on ladder, if I play against someone that's newer or is really good but I don't recognize, to like start a little conversation with them and try to get them to like get more involved in the different discords and the community itself. Every once in a while you find a real keeper. There are a few big tournament players now that were people that were just like discovered by other people on ladder and told to come join stuff. And
Exactly.
yeah, totally advocate that for anyone that's playing the game. If you see someone whose play you like, let them know and try to play with them more.
Yeah, and also like I think for that people, especially Turin and Hair of Carthage, are so useful for the community because they are the like big content creators that bring people to the Warhammer community. I mean, if you compare chats, especially YouTube, I think, compared to Twitch. Like Twitch kind of has a bit more of people that know the game. But if you look at Turin's chat, there are lots of people that never played tournaments, or even some of them never played quick battles. They are just campaign players or people that don't even play Total War, and he brings them there because he has such a reach. I mean, we need big content creator like that to be on the forefront because they are the one that carry the community.
That's how I got the game. I started watching Ninja Hun before I had the game, and I bought a computer so I could run the game and started playing it freaking religiously.
Yeah. Hey Val, the chess is of course not me. Okay, this is like high level play, and it's just something to look at while I continue my my little conversation with Shetland now that the interview is over. Because okay, HW contacted me in DMs and he'll be starting in something like 8 minutes, so I'm getting ready to raid him.
All right, cool. Should I let you guys go and you can?
I mean, you can stay as long as I'm not raiding HW, you can stay. But if you want to go, there is no issue. I can entertain chat for 8 minutes by myself.
I'll stay for a little bit, see how the entertainment goes, and then join. Actually, I'll join your chat and I'll watch you entertain us.
I mean, you're joining the chat? Oh god, now I said I'd entertain chat and now I actually have to do it. This is a lot of pressure. Okay.
Well, don't worry about it. I'm actually going out to have a cigarette. It's been almost an hour.
I understand. One cigarette. I mean, you've heard me vape. That's the advantage of vaping. I can do it from the safety of my seat, and I don't have to go outside in the cold.
And less cancer.
And less. Sure, that's definitely why I'm doing it.
I mean, I don't know if it's why, but it's an added benefit. But yeah, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Happy Puppy, and I'm looking forward to the World Cup. Everyone in chat, make sure you get involved once it opens up for registration, and it's going to be an amazing event.
Oh yeah, it's going to be the biggest event ever organized by the community. I mean, I hope that it goes bigger than the Ever Chosen. Not to overshadow CA, but the more big tournaments, the better.
I think they're in contact with CA a little bit, right?
There have been some contacts. I have non-disclosure agreement or whatever, so I can't talk too much about it because it's not too.
Either way, it's gonna be.
Wait, I can't. It's gonna ride anymore. I just broke my headset. Give me a second. Oh god. Quality streamer. Okay, there you go. I'm back. Okay, sorry. But yeah,
I was just saying, no matter whether CA gets involved or not, the amount of interest right now makes it look like it's definitely going to rival, if not surpass, the Ever Chosen.
Yes, and I think the idea of also just as for the Ever Chosen. Doing qualifiers, the fact that it's not just invitational tournaments are really good ideas sometime, but I think if the idea is community building and making more people join, having it open to everybody, even if of course most people won't go past the qualifiers, is always nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. We'll see the best of the best, and maybe some people no one's ever heard of before.
Exactly. I mean, there can be some upsets. I'm given the size of the tournament, there will be some upsets. It's like.
I mean, the first time Falcon won a tournament, it was a big upset. So I'm sure that there will be new Falcons in the future.
And maybe against Falcon. Maybe that's how you make it to become the next Falcon. You have to beat Falcon by not being known.
I'd assume is power.
Winning for an unknown might be too much to ask, but being able to maybe some big player is gonna be in some hard bracket and actually get eliminated because he lost a few games to someone that wasn't prepared for.
Yeah, and there might be some older tournament players that come back for an event like this. Every once in a while you see that, and it's really funny when they bring back like a Warhammer 1 strategy they used to win with and still freaking win with it.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
I'd love to see Onyaga back because I've never seen Onyaga play. I mean, I've seen videos, right? But I wasn't part of the community when it happened. And he was such a legend. I think on Challenge, maybe he was just a few months back. Maybe I think Falcon or someone else just passed him in terms of number of tournament won. But until a few months back, he was still the person who had the most tournament on Challenge for the Warhammer community.
You give me 2 seconds, I can send you the ranking sheet for Warhammer 1, which has pretty much every Warhammer 1 tournament for a year's worth of time, the last year of it. And Onyaga and Soothsayer were 1 and 2.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not surprised. So, I mean, if Onyaga could come back, just, he doesn't have to stay there for months afterward, but just come back as the old retired champion that comes back for the glory.
Played in my son HW's league last league and got to the finals.
Wait, really? I wasn't watching. Oh no, I missed it.
Well, not to the finals of the final stage, but he got to the final stage, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Okay, maybe he's getting back in shape for the World Championship.
Oh, you know what? I think I deleted my Warhammer 1 rankings. These are all Warhammer 2.
It's okay. It's okay. Also, like, viewers, okay, so first off, but you need to go, okay? I hate you. There you go. No, not you too, okay? Why are you both there? Go away.
Not a bot, I promise.
Also, viewers, like, I fucking love you guys. You're staying here while we're just basically talking, which is really interesting. Now they give me hope to make actually content that isn't Warhammer based, because 27 viewers when I'm just literally watching people play chess, bullet chess, while not even commenting on it, and talking ShetlandApache is kind of it's a dream come true, honestly.
2017 rankings, 2018 rankings.
So this is lead chess ranking. So it's actually okay. So little thing like lead chess ranking is actually probably, if you're like 2700 on lead chess, you're probably, if you were in the official FIDE ranking, like where the IRL ranking, let's say, for the World Chess Organization, they would probably like be 200 less in terms of ELO ranking because of the way it's calculated. So there you go.
Yeah, I just sent you 2 ranking sheets in Discord. Those were the 2017 tournament rankings and the 2018 from Warhammer. And Onyaga's there. His average finish was between 2 and 3 in tournaments. Soothsayer, the same.
Wait, you guys Viking can see it. Wait, why can't... Yeah, no, you guys can see it in the stream. Okay, there you go. Yeah, Viking
these are every single tournament that was hosted in those years. So it's kind of cool if you ever want a history of things. QC7 is Questing Cup, which were Ninja Hunt tournaments. But yeah, these were the ranking sheets we used to keep. ESL is in here, actually. That's impressive. I didn't realize that was still there.
Yeah, damn. Okay, and so in 2017 it was on Jagen. In 2018 I don't see him there, so it probably stopped at that point because Soothsayer is still very
he was slowing down. Yaga was ranked 20 in 2018.
Oh god.
He only played 5 games.
Oh, that's why, because he was still average finish 6. Oh, he wasn't as much in shape anymore. I mean, you need practice to get consistently.
Yeah, 2018 was the year of Soothsayer, where he rarely didn't finish first.
Yeah, 1.38 average finish. That's incredible in 13 tournaments. Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look. So he had 1/3 place in Slam 2, and then the third place in Blood God 3, second place there. But yeah, wait, no, I
Yeah,
must be
just
misreading it.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Oh, you're right. There's a 2, a 3, and another 3, I think,
yeah,
and
I
then
think.
everything else is 1.
Oh,
And yeah,
God.
it was just like an unbelievable thing. Like if you faced Soothsayer, you knew you were going to lose. You still
Yeah.
sort of do. But 2018 Soothsayer, I think, was a little bit more brolic than 2021 Soothsayer. He needs to get back in shape, get that montage going.
Yeah, and Crusader isn't active anymore.
Yeah, I still see him playing campaign now and then, but he used to be right up there with Soothsayer and Ondiaga.
Also, Zyphos was already here. Mixa, I think I seen that name 1 or 2
I think
times.
he was playing. He was like at the very end of his tournament games when you started into the scene.
Okay, Kart is still there. Iron General is still there. Sladex.
Viking Cat still in there.
Yeah,
Yes,
Crabling.
Slade was doing really well that year, but it was also the number of tournaments we played. That's how we rated it. So
Yeah.
that's why some people with lower average finishes were higher up, just because they had played more tournaments.
It's interesting also that Sladex was playing so much tournament, because now, I mean, he's still a really good player, but he's doing quick battles. He's not as much active in the tournament scene.
Yeah, he used to play every single tournament,
Yeah.
other than when he was at sea. And Slade is
Imperator. Average finish of Imperator 1, because he played one tournament, and went back home. Oh no, wait, no, yeah.
I think it was a pretty big tournament, too.
I mean, yeah.
It wasn't the biggest one. Cats for Peace were like the non-prize tournaments, but yeah, honestly, it's just kind of fun to go back. Look at my son HW. He was 17 in 2018.
Wait. Oh, and you were up there too.
I played way too much at that point in my life, and I still wasn't the same caliber as those other guys. It was just I had quite a few tournaments under my belt.
Yeah, which, I mean, there is you can train as much as you want. At some point, there are some players that just have it, Like, you can be a really high level player if you play enough, but there is a glass ceiling that most people just can't push through.
There's certain players I've won against like once maybe, and some I've never won against. Ondiaga, I've never won a game against, despite practicing with him a bunch in Warhammer 1. His play is just super conservative, and my play is all about getting the enemy to make a mistake so you can pounce on it. He would never make a mistake, so I would always lose. But yeah, I just couldn't beat the top players because they were too good.
Yeah.
And I'm all about someone making a mistake, and they never do.
I understand that feeling. One of my issues, like even when I was at my best level, there are some players, I'm just scared of them, and I misplay so much when I face them. Specifically, Zyphos is like a terror for me. Like every time I see his name, I'm like, okay, I've already lost, and I can't play. Like last time I did Faction War of Turin, he was my first opponent, and I lost it. That battle was probably the most humiliating battle I've ever done. It was terrible, but and I stopped playing multiplayer for like 3 weeks after that. It was that bad.
Zyphos is like one of the few players I overperform against, because he and I used to have like a little rivalry going before he became much, much better than me. But I remember fondly the days when I was like, yes, I got Zyphos, time to show him what I can do. And now it'd just be like, got Zyphos, anyone want to trade?
Wait, give me a second. I just need to watch something. Yeah, I think Zyphos has actually the same issue with certain player where he gets pretty nervous against certain players, like Falcon, for example. Like you have your black ships that you feel like you never can win against.
Yeah, and then you always just try to go for like a crazy strategy to hopefully win one, and you just destroyed your own chances because you're taking too many.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Wait, I'm on none. There you go. Up. That's that. You start the term "she'll be right" scientific proven in Australia that it. Oh, okay. Well, I'll say she'll be right next time I face Zyphos, I guess. Yeah. I mean, there are some. I'm not the biggest. My mental isn't strong enough for like competitive play in the long term. I get flustered quite a lot compared to the best ones.
I have like a pretty good regimen when I play tournaments until if I get far enough, like to the semis and finals, my play just falls off entirely and I can't do anything. And I think part of it's just being nervous, but the other part is just I've gone past my endurance point and I can't focus on anything.
Yeah, I understand. Good luck, Spartan. I believe in you. It's often just better to respect them less than other players game-wise. Yes, I agree. I just can't do it. It's hard for me. Actually, I'm the opposite as you are. Like, since I have like pretty low confidence in myself, facing players, the more I advance in a tournament, the better I'll play because I start to think, wait, I'm actually doing well today. That's weird. Well, let's capitalize on it. So the longer a tournament goes, usually the better I'll play against high-level players.
Yeah, that's just I'm always just because in the end games you're always casted and it's always just an embarrassing event for me if I get that far.
Yeah, no, I understand that too.
I think I've been in like maybe 5 or 6 finals ever, and I've won one total game in a final. So it's always just like, Shetland got here. Let's see what he does. He loses.
Oh, yeah. I know the feeling. Yeah. I mean, not that I reach finals, but sometimes I get casted and.
It was back in the day before we had as good a community as we do now. There's no way I could reach a final with today's players. The level of play has gone up incredibly as well. I would say that's one of the most interesting things about the community for me, because if you look at games people played in 2016 and 2017, the micro difference was crazy, and just the ability to use a unit for its strengths. No one had like the understanding that they do now. So it was very like a lower tier player now could compete in the highest tier back then.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you looked at the qualifier for the averages, and I think that was ice power. This happens.
Everyone except one person loses ice power. It's fine.
The most recent, no, not the averages, and I was talking about the qualifiers. I think like it was a good showcase of how like consistent the high level was. Like there was so many good players all around. Like I don't know, it was really impressive.
Honestly, almost every tournament nowadays, it's just like intimidating to look at the brackets because you're like, all right, where's the easiest part of the bracket? I don't want to be anywhere here. I don't want to be in this bracket. It's too many good players.
Yeah, exactly. The first qualifier was the best quack, and absolutely not because that was the one you won. Okay, it was the highest level one by quite a large margin, and you happened to win it because you were the best player available.
I've got to say, I'm a little bit of a Guac fanboy. I love the way you play Guac, and I think you're a newer player because I don't remember seeing you like in previous years, but you are freaking good.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
definitely.
keep it up, man.
Also, that's one thing I like is that I think this year there was a lot of newer players that really made a name for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like everyone is good now. It's so like amazing and sad at the same time because I'm getting older and so I move slower. Um,
It's okay. You're not
so
that old, okay? Don't say you're old. You're just 1 year older than me, so it will hurt me. If you're old, I'm old-ish. So don't say that,
wait
okay?
until you feel the weight of life next year.
I mean, I do
I also
feel.
lived through I also lived through a few years of absolute insanity the past couple of years, so it took its toll on me. I've turned gray, which is
Oh,
really sad.
I don't. Oh God, that's one of my fears. Having gray hair. Uh, Wait. Is my son starting up?
It
Yeah, it's.
seems like he should be, right? It's 45 minutes after his planned start time.
Oh yeah, but he had. Oh. He had. Sadly, there was an update yesterday. On Total War Warhammer, and he
Oh,
wasn't
so
aware of
he
it,
was
so he's downloading
he
it.
was in like the stuck area where it's
Yeah,
downloaded but not
exactly.
installed.
Hey, Black Acid Devil, you struggle with the micro with pause. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a secret. I've actually played campaign a bit alone, and I actually pause. I actually pause in campaign because I can, like I can pause. Why wouldn't I? So I pause in campaign too, and I feel like I struggle, even though it's the AI and it's really bad. So I think you if you tried like to join like a fresh recruit and stuff like that, or one of my coaching stream, you'd see that pretty quickly you reach a decent level.
Yeah, honestly, it isn't really about actions per minute or anything microing in this game. It's much more about knowing where things need to be when without having to think about it actively. Like,
Yeah,
as soon as you know what the pieces of your army should be doing, the micro really isn't as difficult as you might think.
yeah. I mean, I actually tested my APM in another game, and I mean, maybe not these days because I've been slacking, but I actually have a really high APM. My issue is lots of my actions are completely useless and a worst of APM, a loss of APM.
Yeah,
Like I'm doing useless movements with my camera, with my troops, with my clicks. So okay, I click a lot and I move a lot, but if it's all worthless moves, it's completely gone.
yeah,
So
and a lot of people shift queue orders, which is something that isn't really apparent in the streamers that you see casting right now, but that actually is a worthwhile thing to do in some scenarios.
yeah, no, definitely. And also, okay, one thing that's really important, and okay, again, I'm gonna ask for your opinion. You better answer the right thing this time, okay? Be
This
ready.
is my third strike if I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Control groups, good or bad?
Control groups are amazing, but you need to set them up properly. And I didn't know how to set them up for the first year I played
Okay,
this
I'm
game.
sorry. This is the end of our conversation. I really like control groups
Most
are the most useless thing ever created.
not at all. So most people set up control groups by putting the largest portion of their army on one. It's always the highest micro tax unit that goes on one, second highest on two, third highest on three, next on four, and then everything else after that. Like, you only need control groups for the units that you don't have time to click. And for me, I put all my cab in control groups and I don't care about my infantry. Like, if I didn't have control groups, it would take me a lot longer to select what I needed.
Okay, so why are control groups bad, Greg? The answer is really easy, okay? So first off, it gives you a sense of false security about your micro. And also the second thing about like control groups that I don't like is they react in weird ways, okay? Because you have your control group and you're like, oh, okay, that's fine, my cav is together. But they actually aren't. They're like slightly separated. And if you don't look very closely to your, like to where your actual unit in each part of the control groups are, even if it's just 2 units of cav, you're like, oh, I can tell them to go there. But one of them was slightly out of position and they're just gonna go through a spear unit and die. And you're gonna have to go back to be like, oh no, actually, I'm gonna have to click individually to that cav unit because it can't follow the control order. So at that point, you just lost time because of the control group.
So I guess my question would be, what stops you from not using the control groups even if you have them set up? Like, there are times when you definitely want to use them because it more than halves the time it takes you to select a unit. But I don't see a reason why you would have to use them even if they're set up. Once my cav gets spread out, I don't use the control groups anymore.
Okay, interesting. Actually, for me, like when I have control groups, it funnels vision me in a way that I don't like. But that might very well be just with me. Okay, I'm actually not saying
Me,
other people shouldn't use control groups.
So for me, it's early game that I use control groups quite a bit because I'll spread my units all over the map and try to catch any vanguarded unit, no matter where it is, as well as set up a ton of ambushes. And a lot of the time, none of them work whatsoever. But in a time when like two or three of them all hit at once, you need those control groups to be able to like select and click, select and click, select and click. Otherwise, you're going to lose out on the charges early on, or you're not going to box in a unit that you needed to.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. You make some very good points, okay, but I think control groups are a trap. They
We are
they
going to have to settle this on the battlefield at some point,
Oh,
Happy
I
Puppy.
mean, definitely. Also, like you need to like regain your honor after losing to me in chess. So
Look, I don't think there's ever a chance that I'm going to regain that honor, but I can at least avenge a grudge.
yeah, exactly. Dwarves are great at that. So I mean, you're a pony, so